Hello, this is training 20. This is what you need to know if you're stuck in a toxic work environment. And this is gonna be some real talk. Like this training, I'm gonna get a little real. Not that the other trainings are fake, but this one's not for the faint of heart. So I'm Meredith Hawley. If you don't know me, I'm a lawyer, power dynamics facilitator, and best-selling author. I help employees stop sexual harassment without quitting their jobs. And one thing I run across in my personal life, in my business, is people who know that their work environment is toxic, people who see that the behaviors around them are unacceptable or abusive, they feel bullied, and they still feel stuck in this environment. So I want to talk to you about what you need to know if you're in that experience. I worked with someone like this a little while ago, lovely person, probably the smartest person in our office, and she never got the promotions that she deserved. She did all of the work for her boss, but didn't get recognized for it. She could even tell you, they're not respecting me. They're making fun of my weight and age. This was something that was happening to her. She would point it out and she would kind of call it out, and then she would get made fun of about it even, and nothing would change. But she didn't feel like she could leave because of money, because of job security, partly because she was really good at this job, other than these behaviors she was experiencing where she was really being demeaned. She was put in the back seat. When there was something flashy to happen, her boss would take the credit for it, but she would have been the one who was prepared, who did all the work. And she would complain about it, and she would talk about it a lot, and she could identify what was happening, but she felt like if she left, she was never going to get the same benefit. It would just be worse. She would lose all this money. She would lose her career. She could see how she should have these promotions that she was passed over for, but then she was worried if she left, there wouldn't be another comparable job, that this was the best that there was that she could get. And so what I see a lot of people thinking, first, so you have to look at, you can choose to stay in these environments, right? And you can choose to keep advocating for yourself. And one of the things that I saw with this person, and that I see with a lot of people, a lot of you say it's not bad enough. It's not that, there's things that I like. It's not that bad. It's going to change next year. This thing's going to happen. Something random's going to happen. There's always something random. We're going to bring in another person in the receptionist role. So things are going to change, right? Everything's going to change. I like this about the environment. I like this one thing. It's not all bad. I don't know. Is it going to be better if I leave? I think this is just the way things are. So I hear a lot of this language, right? And it sounds like forgiving. It sounds nice. It sounds like you're being reasonable. It sounds super reasonable, right? But the way that all of those things feel is like confusion and like stuckness. So we get in this pattern of experiencing someone else's behavior that we don't like, right? Someone else's abusive behavior. And then we choose these thoughts that are like, it's not that bad. Not everything is bad. I think it's going to change pretty soon. He's going to realize it. He gets it. We had this conversation. He gets it, I think. He doesn't get it. When we're in an environment with people who are behaving how we don't want, in ways that we don't want to tolerate, one thing about that person is that behavior is something they are willing to engage in, right? So you take this from in the book, Lundy Bancroft's book, Why Does He Do That? Lundy Bancroft worked with abusive men who have been accused or convicted of violent crimes against women, right? And he has this one part where he talks about this story where there was this man who would punch his girlfriend in the legs, but only on her thighs where nobody would see it, right? And so the man said, I had this incident again. I hit my girlfriend again. And I just lost control. That's all that happened. I just lost control. And Lindy Bancroft says, well, why didn't you kill her then? And he said, oh, I would never do that. And so that shows you we all have this threshold of behavior that we would never engage in. And when you see someone in your work environment who's willing to engage in a certain type of behavior, the one thing you know is that that is not past their threshold, right? That is behavior they are willing to engage in. And when we're willing to engage in behavior, when we see it as acceptable, we're very likely going to repeat it, right? So in the law, we have this concept of negligence, and negligence is like when you know or you should have known that a danger exists, that a hazard exists, and you don't do anything to correct it, and then someone gets injured, right? So this is like the classic example is, honestly, like in the law, even the classic example is the banana peel. And I did not realize this before I went to law school, but there are all these cases about people slipping on banana peels in the supermarket. And so the the cases are that there's literally a banana peel on the grocery store floor, and the clerks know that it's there and they don't pick it up, and someone slips and falls and injures themselves. So that's negligence. They know, or they should have known, that there's a banana peel on the ground, and they don't pick it up and someone gets hurt. So this is how you want to apply it to feeling stuck in a toxic work environment. When we are choosing to believe it's very confusing whether we should leave, when we're choosing to believe that it's not bad enough to do something about behavior that we don't agree with, we know that this behavior is gonna happen again most of the time. I mean, like there are some instances where someone genuinely makes a mistake and makes an offhand comment or does something rude and then corrects it and says, that was past my threshold. That is not how I want to behave, right? And you can tell the difference between that and the environment where the person is definitely going to continue engaging in the behavior because they're blaming you for it. They're treating it as a joke. They're saying it was funny. They're justifying the behavior. You know they're going to continue to engage in it. So when we are indulging in feelings like confusion, in feelings like stuckness, we are putting ourselves in danger. And that is not to say that we're in the wrong and they're in the right, right? Like the person who's engaging in dangerous behavior is the person having the wrong behavior. But then we need to know that we have responsibility to ourselves to not be self-negligent. When we know that there's behavior that's likely going to happen again, it is worth taking action to protect ourselves from it. This doesn't always mean that it's all or nothing, right? This doesn't mean, so I'm kind of talking in a conceptual way, but if I'm thinking about the woman that I work with who was like the most qualified person, who was treated very disrespectfully in the work environment and saw that she was being treated very disrespectfully, but felt like it was too confusing to leave. Like there might not be something better. Like not everything is bad, and she needed to, everything needs to be bad before you can leave. What she was doing was she was thinking the only options for her were leave or tolerate the behavior. And so there's behavior that is 0 times events for us, right? That we do not tolerate. If someone punches me in the face, we're probably done as friends, right? Like 0 times behavior. And then there's other behavior that we do want to, that doesn't mean we want to quit a job, but that we do want to impact and that we do want to improve, right? So these are not 0 times event behaviors. So for example, with the woman I worked with, when her boss took credit for her work, that doesn't necessarily mean she quits, but there are ways for her to credit herself, for her to set a consequence for him doing something that's outside of integrity that supports her, right? When somebody makes fun of her weight or her age, there's the opportunity to be on her own side and tell them how inappropriate that is, and and even take herself out of that specific environment if she doesn't want to, but set a consequence that takes care of herself in all settings. When we're justifying other people's behavior that we don't want to tolerate by saying it's not all bad, there's some things that I like, we're indulging in feelings of stuckness and confusion that don't serve us, that put us in danger. So again, that is not to say that we're responsible for their behavior, but we are responsible for ourselves, and we deserve safety. We deserve healthy workplaces, not just minimally tolerable workplaces, right? Okay, so if you know somebody who feels stuck, send them over to us. Tell them to ask questions. We're happy to answer their questions and talk to them and see if we can help. Everybody deserves to work in a healthy environment. And if you have any questions, send them over to us to make sure that we include them in the trainings next week. Thanks so much, everybody.